Hi Suzanne, it's David here. Give me a phone back, please. I just want to have a wee chat with you. See if you need a lift or anything. Just give me a phone back, even just for a couple of minutes. I'm worried.
Suzanne had been reported missing by her parents on the last day she was seen. Just over 2 weeks later, the police released a statement saying they were now treating her disappearance as a murder investigation. The next day, a search of the Argyll area was launched, spanning an area of 400 miles, as detectives leading the inquiry at the time appealed for information.
Suzanne Pilley was 38 years old. She lived alone in a flat on Whitsun Road in Edinburgh. She worked as a bookkeeper for a facilities management company called Infrastructure Managers Limited, IML, at 11 Thistle Street in the city centre. She was known by family and friends as reliable and routine-driven. She had a cat. She had a pet fish. She had plans. Tuesday, April 4th, 2010. Suzanne Pilley leaves her flat on Whitsun Road and begins her usual commute into central Edinburgh. She boards the bus. She is captured on the bus's internal CCTV, seated, unremarkable, ordinary. A woman on her way to work. She gets off near St Andrew Square and walks to the Sainsbury's branch there. It is part of her morning routine. 8:51 a.m. CCTV inside the store records Suzanne at the self-service checkout. She purchases a sandwich and a bottle of water. The image is clear. Her face is visible. She leaves the store. 8:54 a.m. A street camera captures Suzanne on North Street, David Street. She is walking in the direction of Thistle Street. She is approximately 20 metres from the front door of the IML office. This is the last confirmed image of Suzanne Pilley. She does not arrive at her desk. She sends no messages. She makes no calls. No one at IML sees her enter the building. By afternoon, her parents, Robert and Sylvia Pilley, report her missing to Lothian and Borders Police. While investigators would later reconstruct the events of that morning minute by minute, a picture emerged of what was happening inside the IML building. For approximately 1 year, she had been involved in a relationship with a colleague at IML. He was her senior at the company. He was 47 years old. He was married, with 2 children, and lived with his family in the Edinburgh suburb of Silverknowes. His name was David Gilroy. Gilroy held the position of Regional Operations Manager at IML. He had joined the company in late 2008. The relationship with Suzanne began in 2009. His wife discovered the affair. For a period, Gilroy moved into Suzanne's flat temporarily. By early 2010, the relationship had become, in the words of Suzanne's mother, turbulent and on and off. Suzanne had begun seeing someone new. She wanted to end things with Gilroy permanently. In the month before her disappearance, Gilroy sent Suzanne more than 400 text messages. On some days, he sent more than 50. Suzanne told a friend she believed he was hacking into her email account to monitor her. On May 3rd, 2010, the day before she vanished, the texts dropped sharply. Gilroy sent 15 messages and 1 voicemail. That was the last contact between their phones.
Because everything out. Was probably pushed things a bit too far. Again, a wee minute. Hi Suzanne, it's David here. Give me a phone back, please. I just want to have a wee chat with you. See if you need a lift or anything. Just give me a phone back, even just for a couple of minutes. I'm worried.
A picture emerged of what was happening inside the IML building at the same time Suzanne was walking toward it. David Gilroy had also commuted to work that morning. He arrived by bus. He was not at his desk at the start of the working day. Between 8:53 and 9:15 a.m. This 22-minute window is at the centre of the prosecution's case. The theory put to the jury was that during this period, Gilroy met Suzanne near the front door of 11 Thistle Street, directed her to the ground floor basement car park, and killed her there. The basement level was accessible from the building's internal staircase. It was below the open-plan offices. It was not a place colleagues would typically pass through. 9:15. Gilroy is observed near the photocopier at the end of the open-plan office, close to the rear staircase that led down to the basement. Several colleagues would later tell police that he did not look like himself. He appeared clammy and sweating, as if he had been rushing. His eyes were described as glazed. His pupils were dilated. One colleague noted that Gilroy had scratch marks on his face and hands. He had covered them with what appeared to be a makeup-like substance. Nobody in the office knew about his relationship with Suzanne. Nobody connected his appearance that morning to her absence. Gilroy tells colleagues he needs to go home to collect a set of meeting minutes. He leaves the office and takes a taxi, not to his own home in Silver Nose, but to his mother's house in West Pilton. His mother then drives him to his own house, where his silver Vauxhall Vectra is parked. He collects the car and returns to Thistle Street. The prosecution's position was that he used this trip to retrieve his vehicle for a specific purpose. That evening, on the evening of the 4th of May, hours after Suzanne was reported missing, David Gilroy attended a presentation at his daughter's school. He went with his wife. Afterwards, the family went for dinner at Vittoria Restaurant on Leith Walk. He did not report Suzanne missing. He did not contact police. He sent no messages to her phone. Wednesday, 5th of May, 2010. The morning after Suzanne Pilley was reported missing, David Gilroy informed his colleagues that he was travelling to Loch Gilphead in Argyll for a site visit at a school. He had brought the meeting forward from 2 days later. He made the journey alone, in his silver Vauxhall Vectra. Police would later reconstruct this journey in detail, using CCTV cameras positioned along the route and mobile phone mast data from Gilroy's handset. What they found was this. Gilroy took 2 hours longer than average to complete the journey each way. A calculation of his fuel consumption showed that 124 miles of his route, more than 3 hours of driving, could not be accounted for. He did not take the most direct route. He avoided the Rest and Be Thankful Pass, the logical, fastest road through Argyll, and instead drove a longer, less used way around. When police examined his car, all 4 coil springs were fractured. The forensic expert who examined the vehicle said in 30 years of professional experience he had never seen that before. The damage was consistent with the car having been driven repeatedly over rough, uneven terrain, the kind found on remote forestry tracks. Vegetative matter, plant and organic debris was recovered from the vehicle's exterior and undercarriage, also consistent with off-road use. Cadaver dogs, specially trained Springer Spaniels from South Yorkshire Police, were brought in to search the Vectra. They indicated interest in 2 locations inside the boot. They also indicated in the basement area of 11 Thistle Street. When police opened the boot of the car during the investigation, a forensic scientist noted a fresh smell from inside, consistent either with air freshener or a cleansing agent. No DNA belonging to Suzanne Pilley was found in the car or in the building. The car had been cleaned.
The sightings of around the movement of a vehicle. We're appealing to anyone who may have seen a vehicle on unclassified roads parked up a forestry track or just off the road, and the vehicle we're looking for is a silver family saloon. I'm not asking, or I don't expect anyone to be able to give me any great detail about the vehicle, registration numbers, such. What's important to me is the sighting. It's the location of where that vehicle is parked. Suzanne was undertaking a normal journey to work on the 4th. Everything about the journey was normal. I've spoken to her parents today and we've discussed the progress of our investigation and that we're coming through here to the Argyll Forest. We're satisfied for the progress of the investigation, and today I'm asking people, think about the circumstances, think about any sightings you have of a vehicle which may be unattended. There may be a single man within the vehicle, maybe standing around looking. Tell us about where that was. Suzanne's family have feared the worst, really, from the very word go, and so we've discussed with them this morning, and it's clearly they're very, very devastated, and this is it's not the news that they would want to hear, but nevertheless they're supporting us.
11th of May 2010. 1 week after Lothian and Borders Police launched one of the most visible public appeals Edinburgh had seen. Large digital screens were erected in the city centre, playing footage of Suzanne's last known movements on a loop, the footage from Sainsbury's, the footage on North St David Street, the bus. Police were trying to determine whether anyone had seen Suzanne after 8:54. They were also, quietly, beginning to trace the movements of a silver car seen on remote roads in Argyll on the afternoon of May 5th. May 18th, 2010, IML issued a statement saying Suzanne's disappearance was completely out of character. The following day, police formally reclassified the inquiry as a murder investigation. May 20th, 2010, press reports confirmed that the search had expanded to a 400 square mile area of Argyll, stretching from Tindrum to Inverary and into the Argyll forest. Police said they were keen to trace a silver vehicle seen driving on remote roads in Argyll and Bute on the afternoon of May 5th. 30 separate search areas across Argyll were subject to coordinated operations. No remains were found. By this point in the investigation, police had something the public did not yet know. They had David Gilroy on camera.
The rugged beauty of the Scottish Highlands. Police have the mammoth task of searching this huge area of mountain and forest for the remains of Suzanne Pilley. The 38-year-old bookkeeper went missing 3 months ago. Relatives like Suzanne's father, Robert, are hoping a widening of the search operation this weekend will finally discover her last resting place.
I often feel that if I could put a closure to it, that maybe the grieving would be a lot better, like, you know. But it's just one of these things that you never seem to be able to get to the end of it. You just want to take it day by day.
Volunteers and mountain rescue teams are set to join police who've already carried out an extensive search to no avail. A 47-year-old man from Edinburgh has been charged with Suzanne's murder.
Gilroy had also arrived by bus that morning. His commute was recorded. His movements inside the building were tracked through internal cameras. His journey home and back, by taxi, by car, had been picked up on street CCTV. And on May 5th, the day of the Argyll trip, he too had been captured. A silver Vauxhall Vectra, his phone connecting to masts along a route that could not be fully explained. The CCTV on Thistle Street showed something else. A forensic imagery expert, Jacqueline Butterwick, analysed the footage frame by frame. She told the court there were sufficient similarities between the figure seen on Thistle Street that morning and other confirmed images of Suzanne taken earlier, at Sainsbury's, on the bus, to state definitively it was Suzanne Pilley. She was 20 metres from her office door. After that point, she does not appear on any camera anywhere. The man she was about to walk past or toward or meet was David Gilroy. June 23rd, 2010. David Gilroy was detained by Lothian and Borders Police under the Criminal Procedure, Scotland. Act 1995. Later that day, he was arrested and charged with the murder of Suzanne Pilley. He made no admission. He said nothing about where Suzanne was.
Edinburgh woman Suzanne Pilley has been found guilty of her murder. David Gilroy always denied the charge. Detective Superintendent Gary Flanagan says it was a complex case to investigate.
The fact that we were looking at something which happened in the city centre of Edinburgh and travelled over to the other side of Scotland, meant that we were looking at clearly a much bigger investigation. The CCTV was the backbone of everything else that we were able to do. So clearly it was significant. But the CCTV corroborated, if you like, it added weight to all the other investigations that we were able to carry out. So in a circumstantial case, it's a significant part.
It's believed Suzanne's body is buried in Argyll. However, despite extensive searches, she's never been found.
We've conducted over months and we've discussed with the Pilley family throughout all the different avenues that we've pursued. We've been pretty transparent with the public in terms of the areas that we've searched.
Officers insist the search for Suzanne isn't over.
We've given Rob, Sylvia and Gail an assurance that any information which comes to light that gives us a glimmer of hope, then we will pursue that information with hopefully to a conclusion for them.
The parents, family and friends of Suzanne Pilley have welcomed today's verdict, but insist their fight to find her body will continue.
For the first time in a UK criminal court, the public saw the judgment too, with the camera allowed to film the sentencing, something we could be seeing a good deal more of in the future.
The trial of David Gilroy opened on the 20th of February 2012 at the High Court of Justiciary in Edinburgh. The presiding judge was Lord Brackadale. The trial lasted 24 days.
Suzanne Pilley was obviously a respected and well-liked member of staff in Thistle Street in the office in which you and she both worked. In May 2010, she was starting a new chapter in her personal life, and that included bringing to an end her relationship with you. On the 4th of May, she set out to go to work. Then she just disappeared, and the jury were satisfied on the evidence before them that that was because you murdered her and disposed of her body. On charge 6, the charge of murder, I sentence you, as I am required by law to do, to life imprisonment. I am also required to order that you serve a number of years as a punishment part of the sentence. Having regard to all the circumstances, I order that you serve a punishment part of 18 years, which will be backdated to 13 March 2012.
This statement's obviously been read on behalf of the Pilley family, and it's very much in their words. This day's been a long time coming, but finally, Suzanne's received the justice she deserved. As a family, we continue to struggle to come to terms with losing her. We've lost our daughter, but her memory lives on in everyone who knew her. Suzanne was a devoted daughter, a supportive friend, and an exemplary colleague at work. She was a proud Scot who led a full and active life and enjoyed the great outdoors, always walking, cycling, and keeping fit. We've been met with nothing but kindness from her many friends during this time of great sorrow. We'd like to express our gratitude to every police officer involved in the investigation and to Alec Prentice and his team for their efforts in bringing this case to a conclusion today. Although the trial has ended, our ordeal goes on, and we hope that one day we can lay our daughter to rest.
The jury heard from Suzanne's mother first. Sylvia Pilley described a turbulent on-off relationship between her daughter and the accused. Evidence was presented across 4 weeks. Each piece was circumstantial. Together, they formed a sequence the prosecution argued left no reasonable alternative explanation. The injuries on Gilroy's body, documented in photographs taken on May 6th, 2 days after Suzanne vanished, showed curved scratch marks on his hands, a cut on his forehead, bruising on his chest, and additional scratches on his wrists and forearms. A forensic pathologist told the court these injuries were consistent with a struggle and consistent with injuries he had seen in previous strangulation cases. The injuries had been covered with a makeup-like substance when Gilroy appeared for his police interview. The prosecution presented a computerized reconstruction of the IML building, 4 stories, 30 open-plan offices per floor, with the ground level functioning as a car park and basement storage. The theory was that Suzanne had never reached the open-plan office. Something had happened in the car park below. The court was told that on the evening of May 2nd, 2 nights before the killing, Gilroy had told police that he and Suzanne had performed what he described as a Buddhist-style ceremony, writing their feelings on pieces of paper and burning them, a ritual end to the relationship. This was not corroborated by anyone. On February 27th, 2012, Andrea Gilroy, David Gilroy's wife, was cited as a witness by the Crown. As she entered the witness box, Lord Brackadale advised her that she was not legally required to give evidence against her husband. She declined. She left the stand without speaking. Gilroy himself did not give evidence in his own defense. The defense maintained there was no body, no confirmed crime scene, no DNA, and no direct evidence of murder. It was, they argued, unsafe to convict. The prosecution argued differently. Suzanne had not used her bank account. Her credit cards were inactive. She had made no arrangements for her cat or her fish. She had contacted nobody. A woman with a life simply does not walk out of it. The jury of 8 men and 7 women retired to consider their verdict. They deliberated for 2.5 days. David Gilroy was found guilty by majority verdict of the murder of Suzanne Pilley and of attempting to defeat the ends of justice. He showed no visible reaction. On April 10, 2012, Lord Brackadale sentenced Gilroy to life imprisonment with a punishment part of 18 years, the minimum period before he could be considered for parole. The sentencing was filmed by STV and made available to broadcasters. It was the first time a Scottish court sentencing had been filmed for broadcast. Gilroy appealed against the conviction. The appeal was refused. David Gilroy has served his sentence in silence. He has never admitted to the murder. He has never disclosed the location of Suzanne Pilley's body. Robert Pilley, Suzanne's father, died in February 2019. He died without knowing what had happened to his daughter. He died not knowing where she was. Suzanne's mother, Sylvia, and her sister, Gail Fairgrieve, have continued to speak publicly. Gail said, "For the past decade, we have lived in a state of limbo, waiting for the news that Suzanne's body had been found. We feel we cannot say a proper goodbye until her body is found." In 2022, the Scottish Parliament introduced new parole legislation. Under these rules, Gilroy may be denied release if he continues to refuse to disclose the location of Suzanne's remains. He is not eligible for parole until 2030. In October 2024, Police Scotland renewed its public appeal through the BBC programme Crime Watch Roadshow. Detective Chief Inspector Bob Williamson said, "We have caught Suzanne's killer. However, David refuses to accept that guilt or assist us in any way to find Suzanne's body."
Last month marked the 4th anniversary of the murder of Suzanne Pilley.
David, how many times do I have to say this? Okay, it's finished.
That morning, he's been there waiting and Suzanne arriving. It was clear that Suzanne had ended the relationship.
There's nothing you can say.
And clear that he didn't want the relationship to be over.
It's over.
Justice had been done, but I felt so sad after it, because you weren't going to get it back. Lying somewhere and nobody knows, as if nobody loved her.
The investigation will never be closed until Suzanne's found.
I always say that the door's just ajar. It's not fully closed yet. And that's what I'd really like, to be closure on it for myself and the rest of my family.
She was such a happy person. We try hard to be happy.
Searches of the Argyll Forest area, the Rest and Be Thankful Pass, and remote forestry tracts across the region have continued periodically since 2010. As of 2026, Suzanne Pilley has not been found. Only one person knows where she is.